We're live, Steph. Whoa! Novak news with Glenn Higgs and STEVAN.
STEVAN BUBALO.
BUBALO.
Thanks, Glenn. It's a beautiful introduction.
Yeah. Well, when I press the button, I got an electric shock. It's electrifying. I'm standing on a little stool here now. I'll go back down. Yeah, I'm like Dickie Knee on Hey, it's Saturday. Mr. Summers. So everything you need to know if you're a first home buyer about stamp duty and the stamp duty concessions. At the moment, we're finding...
Let's stand back up. You look at your head's too low down.
At the moment, we're finding there's a lot of buyers out in the market, in the local DY market, around that 800 mark.
Yeah.
Really interesting news for those people. We'll talk about it. So let's go back. We'll talk about what the stamp duty regulations are now if I'm a first home buyer. What would I be paying and where did the concessions kick in?
Yeah, good question. So look, it's been a touchy subject as buyers. You know, most people really dislike stamp duty. Obviously, I think it is the #1 revenue raiser for the state government. It introduced, I think it was 1985 that the stamp duty was introduced. And
so just touch on that. Let's just expand on that a little bit. So all the taxes the government accumulates, stamp duty by far is one of the top 3 income generators. So the state gets a cut back on the GST and other taxes involved in property and transactions and on stamp duty.
Yeah.
So it started off as just, a small fee and it's, now, it's around about 3.5% to 4%.
Yeah. So
of your purchase price.
Yeah, they never really brought it in line, did they? And obviously it makes a lot of money for the government. But the good news was at the start of this year that they're trying to help first home buyers get into real estate. And they introduced obviously what was called the first home buyer scheme earlier this year. And what that essentially was a different way to pay your stamp duty. You still had that lump sum payment, or you had the capacity of taking it out and you've got to stand up, Glenn. I don't know. Is this your first time in the? No, you've been in the green room.
Yeah, but I haven't been. I haven't been in the green room with a Serbian. So
this is the first time I'm
in. So in our office, we're the tallest real estate team in Sydney. I'm 5'10 and a half. I was 5'11 in my 20s, but as you get older, you get a bit wider and a bit shorter. And now I'm about 5'10 and a half.
You look like Shaquille O'Neal in this video anyway. In a good way. But what I was saying, so earlier at the beginning of this year, there was some new incentives put in to help people get around, to help first home buyers get around stamp duty. And really what it was that you had the choice of either paying the stamp duty as it stood. And at the moment, it roughly equates to about a 4% fee on your purchase price. Or the other way was that they would turn around and say, look, you could have the option of paying 0.3% of the land value annually. They call it the unimproved land value. So essentially what the dirt is without the house on it, plus a $400 fee on top of that annually.
And what was really interesting, and it's a shame that scheme didn't last because you could opt in.
That's still there, I think.
Yeah, it's there to the 1st of July. And then I believe it's gone. You won't be penalised if you took it up. But what it did is it didn't penalise people that moved around a lot. So they just would pay the 0.3, sell their property, and then pick up stamp duty again. Now you move, you got to pay stamp duty every time. It was a huge fee. So we're going back. That scheme lasted 6 months.
Yeah.
And now no more.
Well, look, the new thing that's coming in, and the topic of tonight is Save Thousands this week, is that from the 1st of July, there's a new scheme coming in for first home buyers. Hopefully it's going to help people. And essentially it's up to the price point of about $1 million at the moment. So currently, as it stands, as a first home buyer, up to $800,000, you've got incentives up to $600,000. You pay completely no stamp duty as a first home buyer, and then there's a sliding scale as you transition up to $800,000. The good news is now, Glenn, the 1st of July.
1st of July, stamp duty exempt up to $800,000. Yep. So in our area, DY, you can buy a 2-bedroom apartment, walking distance to DY Beach, walking distance to city transport, all the amenities DY has to offer, right on about 800,000.
Yeah.
However, previously you'd have to pay stamp duty almost a full whack. Now stamp duty free.
Yeah.
So a big saving for people in our area. You might be in an area whereby you can pick up a 3-bedroom apartment or an entry-level home for under 800,000, maybe in the Greater West, and won't be paying stamp duty. So it's a really good scheme, and that there's concessions right up to $1 million.
There is, and I'm going to give you some examples just on price. So, in the past, if you had purchased a property, say it's $700,000, you'd be paying just over 10 grand in stamp duty under the new scheme. Absolutely nothing as a first home buyer.
So go through that again.
So it's $700,000. If you were looking for a property today, as it stands, you pay $10,000. If you wait till next week, you'll pay nothing. That's the first home buyer.
Fantastic.
If you were to spend, say, $800,000, so what was before the top of the threshold is now the starting point. Today you would pay just over $31,000. Next week, you'll pay nothing.
So that's a huge amount. Yeah. So on that 800,000, 33,000, it's almost 5% equity.
Yeah.
If you've got 20%, you're now looking at 25% equity.
And like you said, Glenn, the majority of kind of 2-bedroom entry-level apartments in our marketplace, $750,000 to $850,000. If you're buying a property at $850,000, you paid over $33,000. Well, you will be paying that today. Next week, you'll be paying just over $10,000. So you're going to be saving about 20 grand on an $850,000 purchase this time next week.
DY isn't the most expensive area in Sydney. We understand that. But I think that comparison of being able to get an entry-level 2-bedroom apartment, 800 or less, I think that would carry on through most areas. I think it would, there would be some areas in the inner west that may be difficult, some areas in the eastern suburbs, the southern end of the northern beaches where Manly and Freshwater, it's starting to get a little bit tight to get a 2-bedroom. And the reason I emphasise 2 bedrooms, for young people looking to get their first home, ideally a 2-bedroom is where they're after. We're selling a lot of 1-bedrooms and studies because it has that overflow room, can be a young child's room, can be a work from home room. But, on your wish list, if you're a first-time buyer, would be 2 bedrooms and under 800,000. So it will be a great saving. 1st of July is this Saturday. So it'll be kicking off from then.
From Saturday. The other thing I'd say, and I don't know, people might have different opinions on it, but how are you finding, Glenn, when you're out there doing? I've noticed there's a lot of owner-occupiers shopping in the market compared to investors, whereas normally, say, 4 or 5 years ago, we would have had quite a lot of investors in the market. I think there's fewer investors.
Well,
if I can say that, what do you think?
The movement for investors now is actually selling. We're blessed at Novak with the support we get from the offers, which is basically Mr. and Mrs. Novak here, Lisa and Mark. We promote the agency through various means, and we've always got a lot of listings. We've got 17 listings. But I would say that maybe 40% of them are investors who are saying, hey, I'm paying 6% on my family home, I'm paying 6% on my investment. Let's just sell the investment, reduce the debt on the family home, and we can invest again and gear up again when interest rates are a bit more doable. So a lot of them are selling at the moment. Will a lot more sell? Will we see a lot more properties on the market when everyone comes off fixed loans? Possibly, because we're seeing investors do it already. What
I was going to say is that I think as a first home buyer, you're not competing with as many investors.
100%. 100%. So the nature of an investor is that they generally have a primary residence, and most people are trying to reduce their debt at the moment. Some people aren't. They're going out and increasing it because it's a great time to buy. And they can service that debt. But for most people, they're reducing their debt and they're, you know, sort of hunkering down as the cost of living goes up. So you're not competing against those investors as you would. Bullish market, low interest rate, everyone is out investing. Okay, you have a home worth $1 million, it goes up 20% in a bullish market.
Yeah.
You've got 200,000 more equity in your property. 200,000 on a 800,000 unit is 25%. You can use that increasing your equity straight away to go out, combine your loans together and buy an investment property. So everyone becomes an investor in a bullish market. But in these slower markets, we generally find that the investors thin out a little bit easier for first home buyers.
Yeah.
Serviceability is hard, but you know, it's always been hard to repay your property. It's never been easy. This is just one of those times. Stev and I, we're not the same age. I'm about 10 years on Stev. But
why do you look like you got more hair than I do, but
you know what they say, on ugly heads they put hair. So you're a gorgeous man, Stev. Gorgeous man.
Thank you.
So you know, you're not competing against those investors. Great time to get out there.
Yeah, and then you add these bonuses on there now. You know, it's a good time to be a first-time buyer to get into the market.
You know, Billy and I spoke about this the other day, and what I would say about that is that you don't get many times in Sydney real estate where the market comes back, okay? So you're a first home buyer, interest rates are a bit tough, the market's come back on some of our stock 20%. You go out, you secure something that in 2021 was 20% more, okay? So your $800,000 unit was $960 in 2021.
Yeah.
Interest rates, they're probably coming if you read and listen and read the tea leaves even. We might be at the top of the cycle to rein back in inflation. So you might buy low, interest rates come back down, and you'll be sitting at a dinner party in 3 years' time. Your friends will be saying, how did you afford this? And you say, well, we only paid $800. It's worth $1 million now. When we started, our interest rate was 6%. Now it's 4%. And everyone's going to think, you know, you're the wizard of property. It was just timing. Just timing. So, you know, I have a feeling that that's just about to occur.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we're looking to get an investment property now because we feel the market's down. The interest rates will come down eventually, and then we'll go from there. The interest rate rises, that's a funny thing. I'm not a firm believer that that's helped with inflation and pull back inflation. There was a statistic the other day that we ran through Novak that 20% of all properties, 24% of all properties purchased on the eastern seaboard of Australia. I might be having a stroke. I can't speak properly. Purchased on the eastern seaboard of Australia, cash.
Really?
Cash. Yeah, people downsizing, people getting inheritances.
Okay.
24%, okay, without a loan. Now, if that's true, we ran the statistic in Novak, how do interest rates going up? How does it stop inflation? Okay, it stops on our credit cards, business loans, but who are we really affecting?
Yeah.
What would you say out there? How many people own their house outright in Australia? Is it 30%? Is it 40%? If it's 30%, 30% of all residents are unaffected by interest rate increases.
Yeah.
So the government could have looked at another aim. My favourite, and I might be, you know, the silliest man in Sydney, raise the GST. GST gets everyone. Doesn't get you on rent.
Yeah.
Doesn't get you on rent, and it doesn't get you on food. So for the most vulnerable, their shelter and their food is protected. But I wouldn't know, mate. I'm standing on a little box, so I'm tall enough to speak into the microphone.
I'd vote for you, Glenn.
Yeah. So would Donald Trump.
The other thing I was going to say is that, look, some people also with strategy, you know, with the rates, obviously we've all seen them increase over the last kind of 12 to 18 months. But what we've also noticed here, that if your strategy is gambling on more increases coming in to slow the market, what we've actually seen is a drastic reduction in the number of properties on the market. In a stable property market across the Northern Beaches, we'll see anywhere from, you know, kind of that 600 to even 800, probably sitting around that 700 properties. We're talking from Palm Beach all the way down to Manly. Today in the marketplace, Glenn, what we're sitting around 450 probably.
450. We're looking in DY right on 40. When it's a real buyer's market, it can be 130.
Yeah.
Through the peak of 2017, it stayed around 40 to 50 properties on the market at any given time.
My message behind that is simple: that, like, guys, look, is it a good time to buy real estate? If you're a first home buyer, yes, this incentive I think is fantastic. There's not a lot out there, so don't bank on pricing coming back. If anything, it's holding pretty steady. We've seen a little bit of a surge even in pricing.
Yeah, look, every area is different in Sydney. There's no one Sydney market; it's all different markets.
Yeah.
You might find in other areas of Sydney where the cost of living pressures are really quite high, people start selling their property because they can't afford it. Look, the banks aren't really happy with that, so they're going to give people options to weather the storm. They might extend their terms. They might look at giving them a break till they can get a second job and so on. People think, oh, the banks just want to take the properties back. It costs them a lot of money. You know, they've got to go to court. They've got to get the property back. They've got to sell it then, and they could be selling in a lower market. So, you know, often, you know, we don't see these foreclosure sales when the interest rates go up. In an area like the Northern Beaches, pretty low unemployment, people can run around and get a second job if they need to. People sell their investment properties. Private schools, they pull their kids out of private school. They can not go on holidays, not upgrade their car. So every area is different. You know, if you have an area where you know, it's more first home buyers just owning their own home, they've gone in 90% on their loans, you might see a bit more trade out there. But in this area, what we've found is everyone's shut up shop.
Yeah. Guys, so there you have it. First home buyer stamp duty changes coming in. Saturday will be the first day for it. So if you're a homeowner, get out there, throw some offers about. The agents, we'd love to help you guys, and real sweet spot. And I think a really good time in the market to try to get in.
And also realise if you are a first home buyer, shop around for your finance.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of transactions going on. There's a bit of refinancing going on, but new customers coming on. So you might be able to shop around and get a better deal than if you just go hands up. I'm just going with the bank I've always banked with since I was in primary school.
Yeah.
So, you know, shop around.
The Dolomite account.
The Dolomite
account. Yeah, Dolomite account, Glenn.
Remember
that?
No, I had a dinosaur account.
Some people out there know what I'm talking about.
No, I know. Commonwealth Bank one.
That's right.
I think my daughter did.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's about it, Glenn. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get down. So
signing off.
All my fans out there. I'm 5'11", honestly. Stev's 6'3", Mark's 6'4", Michael Silich says he's 6'3". I think he's 6'2". Billy's about 6'2". We've got a new guy started. He's about 6'7".
Yeah.
So we're definitely the hardest working team in real estate. We're definitely the busiest team and the tallest. We're the tallest team. I work somewhere where I was the tallest. I work somewhere where I was the tallest in the office, but never at Novak.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Have a great night. Enjoy your week ahead. If like always, if we can help with anything property related, give us a buzz. We'd love to help you guys out there in the real world.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
20 minutes.